Welcome back, everyone, to Game Over Cancer. We are here at day 2 of the event. We've raised $530 so far for the Canadian Cancer Society. And did you know that when you donate, you can put your donations towards incentives? We have one coming up for the run after this, so it's going to be Love 1, 2, and 3. It's a category bid war. Are we going to see Classic 100% or Remastered 100%? There's some subtle differences there. My understanding is Classic is a little bit harder, but Remastered, the levels are a little bit longer. So do you want to see harder or longer? That's up to you. Remastered is currently in the lead at $32, but you have this run that's coming up of Shovel Knight to potentially change that. We also have a bid war for Hades that's going to be on Friday for the weapon choice. Right now, there is no donations towards that, so you can get an early lead on your favorite weapon for Hades. And in order to assign your donation towards an incentive, make sure you put in your donation comment what you want it to go towards. We've also got prizes as well. For a donation of $5 or more, you'll be entered in to win any of the 4 games that are available, which are super, super cool. And they're very cool. We'll talk about those later. I want to remind everyone a little bit about the Canadian Cancer Society. They work with government to bring about healthy public policies that will help prevent cancer and improve the lives of people living with cancer and their caregivers. And their advocacy work covers a variety of areas, including risk factors like asbestos, e-cigarettes and tobacco, HPV, and indoor tanning. And they also work to provide support for patients for access to things like cancer drugs and diagnostics and palliative care. All incredibly important things. Now, our next round is also full of important people. We've got knights, kings, and a VP. That's right, it's time for Shovel Knight, King of Cards, any percent with Dan the VP. Dan, tell us about this game.
All right, well, I didn't know that I was going to be part of the SMB3 block, and this is like basically SMB3 reimagined, so we're just going to go with it. This is Shovel Knight, King of Cards. It is a very difficult game. The speedrun is a very difficult speedrun, I should say. It's a rather enjoyable, casual game. So we're expecting a couple deaths. We'll have a little bit of, we'll replay levels a couple times and hopefully show off some of the harder tricks. And I say a few deaths because there are some really hard tricks and we're just going for everything. There are no safe strats here. I've had the chance to run this, I think, solo and as a race at Game Over Cancer. So at this point, we're just going to try to pull out all the stops all at once. With that being said, time is going to start whenever I select yes on this screen. I am playing with an alternate palette. So King Knight's just going to be blue the whole time. It's the last time I PB'd was with this palette, so I guess I'm blue now. But time is going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so things are going to start off right away into the first level. And we need to get into King Knight's movement right away because we're going to be using it for about the first 10 minutes of the game. We're going to have this basic move set. So King Knight has a bash. During that bash animation, if you press the bash button again, he's going to roll like that. Then if you bash into something, he'll pop up into a spin jump that we can then pogo from. Once you pogo, you reset your bash even if you're midair. And so there will be a pop quiz at the end of the game, so I hope you're all taking notes. And this is going to be our main both movement and damage for the foreseeable future. The important thing to know about rolling as well is if you roll through an enemy or a block that has 1 HP, you just keep on going. This run and this game is very movement and momentum based, and it's just going to get deeper as we unlock more things. When you just bash, if you don't roll, you come to a complete stop and you're kind of frozen for a couple of frames before you can move or jump. But if you roll, you've just got a continuous motion and you can immediately bash again. We're also going to be collecting some of these medals. We need 6 in total through the first 4 levels. If you're familiar with any of the other Shovel Knight speedruns, you might be familiar with buying relics along the way or unlocking things mid-level, or Spectre Knight buys them back at his hub world. King Knight, like I said, is Super Mario Bros. 3, so instead of having things we unlock in the level, we have kind of little challenge rooms that you might kind of think of as, you know, facing a Hammer Brother or one of the Toadstool houses to get an item. The relics, though, are going to be a permanent item we'll have access to. They're going to use Vigor, which is our mana resource. It's represented in the top left of the screen. It says 30 right now. We've got no way to spend it. Once we do start spending it, we'll get some guaranteed drops and random pickups throughout levels, and then it's going to reset at the beginning of each level. Everybody say hi to Mom. Hi, Mom. She's trying to sell us meat pies.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. She's hustling out here. So, relics, Vigor, we're going to get one. And that is the big difference between this and Spectre Knight, Shovel Knight, and Plague Knight, who just play with all kinds of fun toys. But it is one of the reasons why I really love this run, because within really 7 minutes, we're going to have our entire kit unlocked, and the rest of the game is just pushing all of our resources and all of the tools in our tool belt to their full capacity. This is the third Plains stage. You're also going to notice that we don't play all of the kind of night-themed stages like you might be used to in Shovel Knight. This overworld is very big, and instead of having to play a small number of long levels, well, there's the first death. Oh, and we don't get checkpoints very often either, even though they're right there, so we're going to play this one again all the way from the start. So, instead of playing long levels with lots of checkpoints like in Shovel Knight, we've got choices, and choices are fantastic. I love choices. So we get to skip about half the levels in the game. We're not even going to see most of the knights that you might be familiar with. You know, any Plague Knight fans or maybe Propeller Knight fans. Sorry, not the game for you. But what it does is it allowed Yacht Club to introduce some new characters, and instead of having like 8 different bosses, we've got 4 main bosses, one at the end of each world. And so we get to see some new characters, maybe even fight some old friends. The bosses that you might be thinking of from the previous games do still appear, but they kind of spawn as Hammer Bros on the map as random encounters. First, though, we have to get through Spectre Knight. This fight is pure RNG, and I'm already down 2 hearts, so we need to play this a little bit safe. Spectre Knight gets iframes like a player would. There we go. All right. So we can't really brute force him like we might. Well, there we go. Death number 2, both in the Spectre Knights level. That's a shame, but we're gonna go in here with full hearts now. So yeah, we can't really brute force Spectre Knight like we're gonna brute force like every other boss, because he gets player character iframes. Not that we have many tools to work with yet, but completely RNG fight. He kind of levels up his abilities as you do damage. What I really want to do is just beat him in the face. All right, there we go. We're going to see Spectre Knight again, but first, he needs to give us a deck of cards, because this is Shovel Knight King of Cards. There is a really in-depth card game created specifically for this release. It's called Joustus. Coming up, we're going to come to the first card house. If there are any fans of card games in the audience, you will be sad to know that we skip every single bit of the card game. You're not even going to see what a card looks like. We can just leave this level, talk to a couple friends, and never even think about cards again.
That is very sad news.
Yeah, I would recommend playing it. It is a fun game, but it is rather slow. But the thing to know about the card house is we meet some friends that have an airship, and now we have an airship. I told you, this is an SMB3 game. Now that we have the airship, though, you're going to see me exiting to the main menu quite a bit. maybe like 2 or 3 times every world, because quitting to the main menu is faster than leaving the airship normally, and it also skips any overworld animations. So there's like, it adds a little bit of menuing to the game that I actually like, because it's a nice little break from platforming. But this is the first King Knight themed stage, which is not King Knight's theme at this point. This is canonically the earliest game in the Shovel Knight series. So King Knight, despite being named King Knight, is king of nothing yet, which is why he's trying to become the king of cards. So these are the King Pridemore stages, but now we're jumping into that relic. Well, I need to actually buy the relic. Jumping into that relic stage I talked about earlier. This is the turncoat. It's what's going to use vigor, and to unlock it we have to play the stage where we can only use the turncoat. I can't bash, I can't pogo or anything else. There's a big skip coming up that I usually don't mention until I make it, so you won't know if I miss it, but it's right here, and I made it. That is extremely difficult. So the turncoat lets us do a couple of things. We need to kill these enemies. It gives us kind of iframes. We can move through enemies and projectiles. If we do move through a projectile or an enemy, we get a charge. It'll charge up to 3 times, and then we can release it and shoot that charge off. This is going to be a huge source of damage, because bashing only does 1 point of damage. A full charge does 3 points of damage. But the really important part about the turncoat is once it's active, I can press left or right on the D-pad to roll left and right, which means now we can move left or right in midair. It doesn't do much yet, but after we get our next unlock, it's really gonna show its full potential to add that horizontal movement midair. But we're in the final stage of World 1. We're going to see King Pridemore. So King Pridemore is supposed to be the first card master. Yeah. Spoiler alert, the Enchantress is behind everything, and she is hosting a tournament to crown the King of Cards. And so we're supposed to be playing, literally supposed to be playing cards, but King Knight is a little daft and didn't really get the memo, so he thinks he's just going to challenge the judges and actually just fight them. So we're gonna come fight King Pridemore, see if we can't take him out and move to World 2. Breaking a couple checkpoints here to get just the specific amount of money we need. A really interesting strat coming up where I'm gonna utilize iframes for the turncoat to try to get a quick kill on King Pridemore. Oh, I didn't get the full charge. Okay, that's alright. Need to get him down to... Oh, I'm 1 short. I need to get him down to 4. Come on. No, come on. Okay, there we go. Now he'll jump. Need to be careful. What is it with being at 1 HP on boss fights this run? Give me a little bit of health, thank you. Alright. Not how this is meant to go. 1 more, buddy. Alright. So at the beginning, if we have 2 chances you can miss shots at the beginning to not force his transition, and I think I missed 3 there. I missed the last 3 shot, but I told you we're going YOLO, going for all the fastest strats, and sometimes it just ends up like that, so we're gonna keep rolling on. So King Pridemore is now our friend. Skip ahead a couple of minutes, a couple of cutscenes. He's also dating our mom. This, I don't think, qualifies as being part of a SMB3 game unless, like, Toad is dating Peach or something. I don't know. But King Pridemore is going to start selling armor. We're buying the armor called Battery Brigandine. Normally this would change my palette, but since I've got a custom skin, it does not change colors. Alright, Battery Brigandine. This is going to level up our bash, because now, after we press the bash button and hold it for a certain amount of time, we start flashing. And when we let go of bash, we get a charged bash. And this charged bash is not only a little longer and a little faster than the normal bash, we can bash up. and we can bash down, which completely just lets us skip some things in levels and unlocks the last kind of bit of platforming, because we can bash up and then use the turncoat and move left and right mid-air. And that is the main speed tech of this game. Because in the same way that rolling out of a bash preserves your momentum, using the turncoat after a charged bash, you have a few frames where it preserves the bash momentum and we just go flying. You can do it left and right, but mostly we do it with bashing up. It gives us what's called, some people call a moon jump or a coat jump, also a Carter jump, because I think Carter was the first person to discover this tech. But tech of many names, but it is all useful in this run. To further illustrate this is a Super Mario Bros. 3 game, we're getting secret exits. We've already gotten a couple, and I just didn't mention them because I've been mentioning other things, but this is another secret exit. Just the quickest way to get through the world map. There's only one that's really... Oh, no. All right. We got this checkpoint. There's only one that's really unlocks a secret area. The rest of the secret exits we grab are just to get us to the end of the world as quickly as possible. But just take note of any time you see me bash up and then press the turncoat. Almost all of those times I'm trying to get as much momentum from... Oh no. Alright, I'm trying to get as much momentum from canceling the charged up bash. And when I press the turncoat is really important, because if you press it too early, you don't get any of the momentum at all. If you press it too late, it's just kind of a little bit lame, but there's a couple of frames where we get the really good action from that, the bash and the turncoat. There we go. Oh yeah, boss fast. Like I said, SMB3 game. So we did a couple... No, we did a couple of Treasure Knight stages there, and we're going to move on to Plague Knight. That's the guy. I do want to point out that Yacht Club is really kind of forward-thinking, especially when it comes to the speed run. There are quite a few random encounters on the overworld, what you may call like Hammer Bros. But their overworlds are all programmed that a random map encounter will never block the most recent exit unlocked. So never once will a Hammer Brother movement affect the speed run, because we don't need them or kill them, or they don't block any items. But it's a very nice touch that they've included in all the games. We're gonna fly at the end of this stage, by the way, like right now. Yeah, we can just fly.
Very nice.
I'm getting the more difficult strats and dying to easier things, so all in all, I call this a win so far.
Indeed, although you keep saying it's Super Mario Bros. 3 game, I see blue and I see spinning and I go, this feels like a Sonic game. Chat,
no, I mean, this might...
Donate! Tell me!
It does have good music, so that, you know, the music might make you tend towards a Sonic game, but, I mean, to me, the platforming is too fun to be a Sonic game, but that might be a take too hot for
some hot takes.
Tuesday night, yeah.
You know what? Donate and tell us your hot takes about this game, or just gaming in general. We'll take some hot takes.
I never thought about the spinning, you know, very Sonic-esque. This level has these flame pots, which are in every Shovel Knight campaign, and they're on a global cycle, so once they start, they just don't stop. And it can be a big pain, because this level, if you miss a good cycle, you're just kind of waiting around for the next one, like right here. Oh no, we got here in a good amount of time. Stage is a little bit forgiving as long as you don't make like compounding errors. This is also like a stage that is hard and I should be messing up, but I think we've kind of found the groove now. Moving on to the final stage in World 2. And I mentioned earlier how, you know, Yacht Club kind of got rid of the normal flow of levels and we're not fighting all the different knights. So we get to fight some new bosses, and King Pridemore was still kind of pretty prototypical Yacht Club boss, a knight by a different name. In this stage, we are going to fight the Tropical King, and if you know the Tropical King, he is a giant trout apple, which is a species, I guess. I'm not a fish expert, so somebody can fact check me on that, but this fight is the best boss fight in the game, in my opinion, because it has the best mechanic and the best quick kill. He's a chunky boy, and because we have projectiles, his hitbox is so big that he loses iframes before the projectile is through his entire hitbox, so all of our charged projectiles hit him twice. And after this little auto-scroller, we'll get to check that out. Also, I don't have to move here, so perfect time for some donations or a little bit of somebody else other than me talking.
I remind folks, of course, that we have prizes here at Game Over Cancer, and the way to get entered to win them is a donation of $5 or more. The games available are Street Fighter VI, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, which is 1 and 2. Those were provided by Capcom. And then Monster Hunter Wilds, which was provided by Pro Pierce. So get your donations in, and it all goes to the Canadian Cancer Society, an incredible cause.
All right, here we go. Well, do we get all 3 charges? No, he went a little too far back. The boat moved on me. I wasn't ready for it. Tropical King, he heard me talking. He heard me talking trash. That fight is quick regardless. Not as quick as it can be, but that's the Tropical King. Best boss in the game for obvious reasons. And he's also our friend now too. It's another thing. It's nice about this game.
I adore him.
Yeah. He's on the airship now. This should be a donation incentive, but we're gonna get the Tropical King for free. Where is he? Is he down here? Yeah. This is completely extra. Look at the big boy.
Bonus content. Oh,
yeah.
look at him.
He's on the airship too. All right. See, now I can say that is why I go overestimate, because we went and saw the Tropical King, so I'm just covering my bases
Absolutely
here.
worth it. Absolutely worth it.
All right, into World 3, into a progression of difficulty that kills so many runs, especially on this very first screen, because these pillars will crush you and it's instant death. Again, I continue to do the harder things first try and die to easy stuff, but I will take it. These are the Tinker Knight themed stages. We also have a couple, or at least one Propeller Knight themed stage, and then there's a new theme that is unique to King Knight coming up in World 3 as well. These little pillars have some little odd mechanics where you can kind of like hit them from the bottom and it makes them go left and right, but we like it. Makes the levels go quicker. The thing to really watch coming up in the second Tinker Knight stage is how our access to vertical movement just completely changes how you navigate these rooms, especially these vertical rooms, because just having this charged up bash, we kind of like, I don't like saying we get to like ignore mechanics, because Yacht Club is very good at designing their levels around, like, with enough space that it kind of, no matter what you do, it kind of feels intentional. But this is meant to be a longer stage. It's one of the few 2 checkpoint stages, and we just kind of like skip the second half of it. Because like rooms like this, we can just ignore. Now it is still difficult, because most of the time we're using a cape jump to get the extra height needed. So we're still having to, still a little bit of skill involved, but all of these rooms we can just whoop, jump over. And this one in particular is supposed to be a long section where you go all the way to the left and then all the way to the right. And we're going YOLO strats here too. Oh! I got everything but the last part, but there's a checkpoint.
So close.
Yeah, there's a checkpoint right here, which is why I always go for that, because this is like a second time save versus a very safe strat. But it's much cooler to just fly to the bottom of the screen. There we go. So it can be difficult to really explain how the platforming in this game changes between the bash and the charged bash, because it goes from not really needing to press a direction when you press bash to then needing to hold a direction on button release for the charged bash. So like I died there because I wasn't holding up when I let go of the button. So it happens sometimes. But this is Cyclone Sierra. This is the new unique themed level. The end of this is a vertical auto scroller. Is important to know because Yacht Club does not cap the screens on their vertical auto scrollers. So we're going to try to beat this level blind. It is very challenging, and so I'm going to kind of take a little bit of quiet time right now.
You got this.
Didn't get it first try. Let's try second. Oh, come on. I had that one. Alright. We're not going to try it a third try because the bottom of the screen is here, so now I would die. So you get to see all of the beautiful artwork now instead. And it was still technically off screen when I grabbed the gold ring, so I'm going to count that. It is about a 15-second time save to get the quickest strat there. You have to get the highest, like the best frame coat jump to make that work. I'm getting bullied by the big hover meanie. I don't remember if that's actually the name of that enemy or the name we call that enemy. It is a good name regardless.
Mm-hmm.
We get some wind physics here that, again, having this battery brigandine armor that lets us charge bash helps out quite a bit. There are other armors that were kind of in the running for what could be the fastest. Specifically, there's one called the lightweight plate. Oh, we need to do this again. There's one called the lightweight plate that basically gives you a run button, and it is really fast. It combos well with a couple of relics. The big kicker, though, ends up being, for whatever reason, I don't know if this was like intended by the devs. Well, that wasn't, but getting the turncoat lets you skip a full level. So you play the relic stage instead of playing a normal full-length stage. Every other relic you could unlock, you have to play the relic stage, and then you still have to play the normal number of full-length stages. So the turncoat being at the very beginning of the game and also skipping a level, it's just hands down the only real option. So I said we would see Spectre Knight again. He is right here. There's a phase skip. It is very difficult. We're going for it, maybe twice. Oh, nope, I hit him one too many times. Alright. We're doing this one more time. So, I have to get Spectre Knight down to at least 4, to exactly 4 points of health, and then do all the rest of the damage before he can phase change to get this cycle skip. Alright, one more hit. Come on. Alright. Oh, it wasn't the fast way to do it, but we got the cycle skip.
GG.
That is, this fight and the next fight are the two big kind of gatekeepers for basically every single PB I've had. But these are two. The next, we're going to fight the World 3 boss next, who also has a very difficult quick kill strat. And that is the Burger King. Spectre Knight and Burger King are just like back to back. Really tries your patience, but it is a very rewarding speed run because most of these fights are pretty consistent. They have their elements of RNG, but a lot of it is just skill, and it is really, as frustrated as I've been with this run, it is a very rewarding run to pursue and to grind. So last of these new themed stages here, I'm going to try to not to roll into any spikes or pits. I tried to there. It's very easy to roll. That is the kind of the meme of this run, is just like rolling into a pit. Because once you roll, realistically, you're rolling wherever you roll. So it's easy to accidentally roll when you didn't mean to, or roll the wrong distance and just end up in a pit. But we grab this health. And again, Burger King, we're trying to get to a certain health and then abuse some... Yeah, missed it there. Alright, we got another shot. Alright, he's gonna come over here. We can pin him. And since the pogo refreshes the bash, yeah, alright, that was a good... Burger King has a bunch of healing cycles, and so what we did instead was we just pinned him to the top of the screen and didn't let him heal. No! How do I do that and don't get any hearts at all? Wow, tragic. We get to see this again, though.
While you're fighting it again, we got time for a donation?
Yes.
Awesome. We have $50 from the Rotbot with no comment, but thank you so much for that donation to the Canadian Cancer Society. That puts us $20 away from $600 raised this event, which would be incredible to see hit before the end of day 2.
Yeah, shout
and
out
just
to
remind folks, reminder to folks that we do have a bid war open for the next run that's coming up very, very soon. That's going to be Love 1, 2, and 3, the category bid war. Right now, Remastered is winning. Classic is an option. There's also other bid wars things open as well. To assign it towards one of the incentives, please put a message with your donation so that we can assign it to the correct thing.
All right, so World 3 done. I got to show off the quick kill on Burger King twice, which not intended, but sometimes that's how that fight goes. All of the fights, all of the bosses drop health. It's another part that's like really punishing for King Knight, starting with 4 health, and almost everything, like everything does a full heart of health. And so you just have so much less room for error than in previous Knight's campaigns, but... So, if you're familiar with at all with these games, you'll know this. If you're not, the Enchantress is behind everything. She has a tower. And so the last world map is always themed like this. It is the tower stages. It's kind of supposed to emulate kind of climbing her tower. I really enjoy how Yacht Club, while making these games, all 4 of these campaigns, very unique, and especially in the way the characters play, the end of them all really does feel connected thematically, and the way that you platform in the stages, the way that they reuse obstacles and elements like this kind of silhouette screen with the scrolling background and stuff. It's they did a very, very good job. That might be a hot take. Shovel Knight is good. You know, maybe my hottest take of all time, but I really do love this series and love getting to show it off any chance I get. We've got 2 stages left. The last stage is going to be a big long auto scroller, so we'll get a final chance for any donations or anything at that point. These 2 stages are kind of the pinnacle of difficulty, especially this one. There is very little room for error. I actually like claw grip in this stage and the next couple of times, which is the only time I'm using a claw grip in this game, but going all out. Oh, okay. Using the charge bash there to just try to avoid death. Spikes are... I don't think I've died to spikes yet. So yeah, spikes are an instant kill. You might not have guessed that, because I haven't showed it off like I've showed off other various ways to die, but spikes, lava, act like it's Mega Man, you're gonna die to it. Okay. Getting here with 2 health, that's gives us a little bit of room for error. Ice skating, also fun. A lot of mechanics that we didn't see because, again, we've got that varied overworld lets us skip some stages, so you're not really introduced to all of the mechanics in this game. Those being from the Polar Night stages, ice skating like that. But it's nice to get a little recap here at the end. Got the Warp Wrap Keep coming up. Again, this is a Super Mario Bros. 3 game, so we get some screen wrap happening. I'm going to try to avoid these spikes. The iframe from the turncoat does last a little bit longer than the animation, so we can use it to just stand on spikes there. You know, I lied. There is one strat that I'm not going for that is like, saves like a second, and it's going left right here instead of going right. No. Not today. I just stopped doing it altogether because it killed so many runs in this one spot, so hope everyone forgives me. Alright, coming up to this big long auto scroller. Fun fact, I've been told that there is like one person at Yacht Club that like this is his level design specialty, and I kind of have a love-hate relationship with that one designer because I have died here several times on PB pace. But yeah, if we've got any more donations or things of note, now is a good chance to get those in.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to remind folks a little bit about where some of the money goes to. The Canadian Cancer Society has many programs, and one of those is the Cancer Information Helpline. It's a national toll-free service with trained professionals who can provide general answers to your questions about cancer or cancer prevention. You can live chat with them at cancer.ca or by calling 1-888-939-3333. And they have so many other incredible programs. I encourage you to go check out their website, cancer.ca. Learn so many things, so many free resources to help prevent cancer for yourself and for your loved ones, and to just become more knowledgeable.
So if you were paying attention like 10 or 15 minutes ago, you might be asking, can we do this auto scroller blind? Because, I mean, we tried to do that other level. And if you're asking yourself that, you know, good for you, you were listening. Unfortunately, this ladder's here, and you can't interact with ladders off screen. And that ladder goes up into a one-tile hole, and King Knight is a one-tile lad. So that is a pixel-perfect hole to get in when you can't interact with the ladder. So there's absolutely no RTA viable, task viable way to get up there to know exactly where you are in a way to make that pixel perfect hole, because you just would have to jump through it, and there's like not even a platform to jump off of. That being said, the New Game Plus route, which can have all of the relics unlocked, we do have a strategy, and we do that entire auto-scroller with King Knight off screen, and we make it through that pixel perfect gap at the very end based only on sound cues, and it is one of the coolest things I've ever done in a speed run. So alright, 3 bosses to end the game, starting with the Enchantress. This can go like one of 20 ways. She has several different cycles, and her movements are random, so we just don't want to get on a bad cycle where she ends up below the screen too much. Which I think we're going to be safe from that right now. Yeah. 3 is good. We got enough turncoat. Alright. That's not the fastest Enchantress ever, but I'll take it. So now she's going to take our friends. She's going to mash them up and make one giant boss out of them. This is a 2-phase fight called the Triumvirate. This is probably the single hardest thing in the game. The turncoat does nothing here. We're going to just use the battery brigandine to stay in the air as long as possible. The second phase, we are going to glitch. We call it brain freeze. Shout out to David. So if we make it there first try, you'll know that's why the boss just kind of stops moving. But yeah, this is hard. I'll let y'all enjoy it while I try to beat it. Yep. Yeah. Nope. That's the first thing that can go wrong. Getting hit off screen. We're actually going to take a death here. I'm not going to be able to spawn in. Oh, come on. Kill me. Do it. I'm right here. All right. Yeah, that off-screen projectile is a little bit RNG there, so I'm going to take it early, try to reset this. Yeah, it didn't go off screen that time, but alright. There we go. That's the way that fight is supposed to look. Third try is a charm. Alright, brain freeze coming up. So as long as we don't touch the hands, the boss isn't gonna move. So 2, 3. Don't touch the hands. Alright. Time's coming up. In time.
GG.
That is Shovel Knight King of Cards any percent. With more deaths than I would like for a marathon, but we went for all the hard strats. I think we actually, other than Tropical King, we got all the boss fights, like actually showed off the strats for him, so I will take that. Shout out to Strizer, shout out to everybody that's put on Game Over Cancer year after year after year and having me back, like, basically every time I've submitted since my first run. Shout out to everybody behind the scenes. Cell, thanks for hosting and keeping me company.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, and get ready for Love 1, 2, 3. That is those games are great. I remember I think there was a 3-way race at one of the online GDQs. So stick around for Hepawana. Ask him about his dogs. They're super cute. And I will see y'all around.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeff. It was an incredible run. That was a ton of fun to be here for. We do have one more run tonight. It's going to be that Love 123. I'm going to tell you one more time. We do have that bid war. That is open. That's going to close at the start of the run. So if you want to see Classic 100%, you need to donate $32. That will get it there. Or if you want to ensure that Remastered has that lead fully cemented, get your donations in. We'll be back very shortly with Love 123.